it's special. Still got a lot of football left this year, so that's nice. But that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is, be playing football in February. So for this week, though, it's a credit to the big guys up front.
And that is Steelers running back James Conner, your AFC Offensive Player of the Week. I'm Missi Matthews. He's Craig Wolfley. We'll get to the practice report in just a minute, but want to talk about number 30. Definitely deserves that honor, but he's talking about the Super Bowl. He's talking about giving his line some credit. And Ramon Foster just said in the locker room, Wolf, that James Conner went up to every offensive lineman, gave them a hug, and thanked them for their part in helping him win that award.
The beauty is this young man has not changed. He is still who he was on the inside. The things that come out of him are just remarkable. You hear his life experience and how he handled the situation of being sick and going through the cancer rehab and the strength building and all he's been through to bring him to this point, and how he shares the credit with his offensive line. To me, it's remarkable. You love it. Like Ramon Foster, we just saw him putting a block out there. The big Ragu says, this kid runs with a passion that's out of this world. And that's remarkable for a guy like Ragu to say that when you understand you've got some great ones in the past who, you've seen in black and gold uniforms. And this is a guy who just did first-time Steelers record book, 3 100 consecutive 100-yard games with at least 2 touchdowns.
Crazy.
You go, I'm sorry, I played with Franco. I watched Jerome Bettis. I watched all these guys. Bullet Bill Dudley, we all heard about. None of them have done this. It's incredible.
All right, let's take a look at the Steelers practice report before we talk about the Steelers run game. And it is Ravens week, by the way. But Here is a look for names of guys who did not practice today. Ben Roethlisberger, we know he has the fractured index finger on his left hand. It is Ben's day. It's always a coach's decision, so that was a split day for him. Your boy Maurkice Pouncey, he doesn't practice when Ben doesn't practice, or at least that's what Pouncey likes. So that took place. Cody Sensabaugh, that's the one you didn't want to see. He's dealing with a toe injury from the injury during the Browns game. Did not practice today. Bud Dupree is sick, but a little bit of good news. Marcus Gilbert, who did not play last week. Why are you laughing?
Well, I'm laughing because I'm looking as I'm on the practice field. I was looking, and there's Marcus Gilbert, there's Dave DeCastro, there's a Big Al, there's the Big Ragu, right? And in the middle of them is Maurkice Pouncey, who's in sweats, and they're all padded up. And I said, what's wrong with this picture? And you can see Maurkice kind of like going, oh, well, and all the rest of the guys going, So it is funny. It's fun to see. This is a great group of guys, and for Marcus Gilbert to come back after stepping aside, being held out, and you've got Matt Filer coming in, and I was thrilled because Matt Filer in the first game, I said, well, that's great. You probably never see this again. Well, here you go again. Very same thing, and Matt came out and did a great job against the Browns, and to be able to develop young talent like Mike Munchak has done with these young guys, and then you've got behind these guys that are the starting 5, man. It's incredible. You got some good depth there.
All right, going back to week 4 when the Ravens were here for Sunday night at Heinz Field, the Steelers, of course, lost before stacking 3 straight wins. Do you think that they use that as a little bit of motivation of the way they were kind of embarrassed on primetime on their home turf as they get ready to head to Baltimore for their 3rd straight AFC North matchup?
No question. I mean, you look at 9 for 19, 9 rushes, 19 yards, James Conner. He's honked off. He wants to show what he can do. You're talking about an offensive unit that went 2 of 12 on 3rd down. So possession downs are big. You're talking about a defense that was out there probably close to 10 minutes over the offense. They want to show what they can do. Going to M&T Bank Stadium is tough. It's a tough place to win. But this is going to be one of those great 2 trains, 1 track. I love it every year when it comes around because you can ball up your fist, punch somebody in the mouth, and as long as you don't get flagged, then you can forget about saying I'm sorry, because that's just the type of game it is.
All right. Well, thanks so much. Happy Halloween, by the way.
Well, happy Halloween
to you.
Don't
eat too much candy tonight.
Yeah, this
I
is
should
really
probably say the same thing.
This is my mask.
All right. Thanks for joining me. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, Mike Prisuta is here in studio with his perspective for Ravens Week. Welcome back, everyone. It is Steelers and Ravens round 2, and whenever these 2 teams get together, it is physical as always. Joining me now in studio is Mike Prisuta with his perspective of what we need to know. Mike.
Thanks, Missy. That loss that the Steelers suffered at the hands of the Ravens back on September the 30th at Heinz Field could be looked upon as the low point of the season. It may yet be remembered as the turning point. That sparked us. Senator Maurkice Pouncey acknowledged this week the Steelers have caught fire ever since. The spark the Pouncey reference probably had more to do with the Ravens pushing the Steelers around that night on both sides of the ball than it did the 26-14 outcome. Yes, the loss dropped the Steelers to 1-2-1, and at the time, the sky appeared to be falling, but it was the nature of the defeat that really stung. The Ravens owned the ball, especially in the second half. The Ravens outrushed the Steelers 96-19. The Steelers have been a more physical team ever since. The Falcons, Bengals, and Browns have felt their wrath in succession. The big guys on both sides of the line have started winning with regularity, and so have the Steelers. To keep that physicality ball rolling, Mike Tomlin applied a little psychology after the bye. According to defensive captain Cam Hayward, Tomlin encouraged the defense to make a good first impression on Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb last Sunday to enlighten the Browns' rookie quarterback and rookie running back as to what life is going to be like in the AFC North. Hayward characterized the approach of the defense, particularly in the second half, as bully ball. It had nothing to do with Teddy Roosevelt. Mayfield got the message. I've seen better days, he lamented after Sunday's 33-18 beating. That's the nature of playing a good team. They're physical. No such prodding of the defense should be necessary this week as the Steelers ready for the rematch on Sunday in Baltimore. Having lost to the Ravens once already, emotions should be appropriately stoked. Are you ready for some football? The tide has turned on both sides since the last time. The Ravens are reeling and the Steelers are a team on the rise. Getting hit in the mouth by Baltimore turned out to be a catalyst. That and the realization that the only proper response would be to hit back harder. I'm Mike Prisuta, and that is this week's Prisuta Perspective.
All right, Mike, thanks so much. And with the fact that after this Ravens game in Baltimore, the only other division game is the last week, which is very weird of Cincinnati. Do you feel like there's some added pressure to get this one? Knowing, I mean, there's still a lot of games to be played and a lot of tough opponents coming up, but if you can win in the division, you can punch your ticket to the playoffs.
Yeah, you know, the Steelers have drastically changed their position in the standings, and they have a chance to kind of finish the job. A lot of us had talked, prior to that first trip to Cincinnati, what a critical 3-game stretch it was going to be: Cincinnati, Cleveland, and then Baltimore. And yeah, there are some tough ones down the road looming. So anyone you can get now, so much the better. But don't you think, Missi, that these games sort of take on a life of their own, regardless of the standings, regardless of the critical part of the season and the playoff outlook? It's Steelers-Ravens. Do we have to go any further?
No, absolutely. But if you go back to the first time these two teams met, I think it was actually during this segment you said, does it really feel like Ravens week? I think because there were so many things the Steelers were figuring out on all aspects, offense, defense, special teams, but this actually does feel like Ravens week to me.
Because it kind of feels like the Steelers have their house in order now.
Yeah, so then you're like, okay, let's go.
Instead of worrying about yourself, you can concentrate on hating the other guy a little bit.
Yeah, what did Joe Hayden say best? I think he said it, no one in this division likes each other or something like that.
And the games are great. I look forward to them every year. I like them all. It's what we do.
Yeah.
It's what they do. But that was one of the conversations I had with a couple of guys in the locker room today is these games are fun for the players because they know what kind of game it's going to be. They know they have a chance to be physical and to inflict their will upon the other guy. And they know if they do that, the other guy's really not going to like it very much. So, yeah, there's a lot at stake in the standings, and we will look back probably in a couple weeks on this one, however it turns out, as a very significant game in the Steelers season. But for the time being, at least, it's 2 trains, 1 track, as a wise man once said.
All right, looking forward to Sunday in Baltimore. It is Halloween, as we said, and Bob Labriola is here. So Prisuta and I are going to do a quick costume change. We promise you will not want to go anywhere. We'll be back right after the break with Agree to Disagree. All right, I promise you are in for a treat. Hopefully we're not really tricking you. It is time for a Halloween edition of Agree to Disagree, the show with the motto,
I'm right, he's wrong.
All right, it's going to be a long one. Let's get through it, guys. The first statement today, the Steelers have tricked me into thinking their defense is a treat. Labs, you can go first.
I don't want to go first. I don't want to go first. Make him go first.
Let's go. You're losing time.
No, I don't want to go first.
Well,
I don't have to listen to you.
the clock is ticking. Go. Labs, go.
Okay. I agree with the statement. I mean, I don't think that the Steelers defense has been consistent enough, regularly enough, and enough of the different categories to convince me that they are a treat at this point of the season. Now, they're better than they have been. They continue to improve, but they're not exactly, you know, a big Snickers bar like you get in your bag when you're going trick-or-treating tonight. So
not at the Prisuta house.
Oh, right, yeah, probably there all
Probably
you get.
fun size.
You only get Skittles. Yuck. Anyway, wah. I hate Skittles. Wah. Mom, you don't make me go to the Prisuta house. I don't like Skittles.
Prisuta, go.
I'm not giving him anything. I don't care what he likes. Hey, I'm going to disagree with the statement. I'm not tricked. I'm actually thinking the Steelers' defense is pretty good. When the rubber meets the road in stadiums, when the lights go on, you have to have certain things going for you. You have to have dependability. You have to have adaptability. You have to have reliability. You have to have versatility. But the most important thing you have to have is availability. And since last Sunday, Morgan Burnett was available. And, I remember why we signed this guy in the first place, me being Mike Tomlin now, talking about when the rubber meets the road inside stadiums when the lights go on. But another guy
I don't listen to any more coaching cliches.
A lot of people didn't make a big deal about was L.J. Fort. All of a sudden, L.J. Fort as the lone linebacker in the 6 defensive backs package gives that a new look, gives it a more adaptable look. I think these guys can play defense after all. I'm ready to roll with them.
All right.
Isn't that the same thing as not being consistent enough long enough?
First down.
Way too many loud noises. Statement number 2, the Ravens have lost 2 straight but are still scary. Coach Prisuta, you're up.
I agree, dadgummit. Have you seen a Pittsburgh-Baltimore game before? Dadgummit, they come. Sometimes they rush with 4 and they get there. Sometimes they rush with 5 and they get there. Sometimes they beat the stew out of us, and it doesn't seem to matter what the records are. You can throw them out the window. Of course, sometimes you might live in a place that doesn't have any windows, and you got to throw it somewhere else. But no, don't be fooled. Baltimore, dadgummit, that's a rivalry game now. We're talking about Steelers-Ravens, and it's going to be a tough one.
Wah, I hate bad Alabama accents. Wah, wah. I agree with the statement, too. The Ravens' defense is ranked in the top 3 in the NFL in 8 different categories. And, their offense isn't exactly the greatest show on turf or anything like that, but they still play a physical brand of football. Their offensive line, I don't think, is as good as the Steelers' offensive line, but with Alex Collins, they can still do some physical running. They got a bunch of tight ends, and the Steelers continue to have problems with receiving tight ends here and there. Going to Baltimore is scary, regardless of how good or not the Ravens are. As they say in these rivalry games, you can throw the records out the window.
All right, my spidey sense.
Dadgummit, he's
See
getting
what
smarter.
I did there. Tells me you both did great. Appreciate you playing along.
I don't have to listen to
Coach
her.
Prisuta, even holding the play card up by your mouth. Baby Labs makes me feel right at home with my 2 boys. So
my name's
Labs,
Matthew, and I don't have to listen to her.
You are the winner. All right, that is going to do it for Agree to Disagree and for Steelers Live. Happy Halloween, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m.